build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance to spit in his eye. Well, they gave me bars, but I can see between to a dusty yard and a long gone green. They call that freedom, if you know what I mean. And I dry my sorrows, but the whiskey's gone. I'm sober as good. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Longbangers. I'm Matty. This is episode 140. Joined tonight by Colin and Leon. Colin, how you doing?
I'm all right.
No,
139.
139. Fucking hell. So we literally had just checked it before we came on, and I guessed 140. Colin corrected me. 139. It is 139. So we're off to a good start.
Right. Oh, just as professional as ever, aren't we? So that's us.
That's it. How you doing? How you doing, Colin? Anyway.
All right, aye, not bad. Just plodding along. Got a bonus at work today, so working out how to spend that.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Leon, how about you?
Aye, not bad. I got a bonus day when I got a phone call for the paint and decorator saying the fucking kitchen was leaking and the fucking hundreds of pounds worth of flooring was ruined. So that's how my days went.
Just before I kind of go into the discuss what we're doing, if you've listened to Down the Slope tonight, you probably don't need to listen to us. We've kind of noticed the last 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, we pretty much have the same podcast, and I can't even accuse them of copying us because they put their podcast out before us, and we're definitely going to copy them because we're recording as they release theirs. So it's just coincidence. But what I take for that is they're fucking brilliant. So listen to Down the Slope. It is fucking superb.
You see, they're brilliant or absolutely shite, and we can't quite work out what one.
I'm not passing comment on the quality of this podcast, but Down the Slope's a quality one. So, if you listen to that, you probably don't need to bother with
this. This is like 15th or 16th for what position after they are the same as us. Because they're the top end, but we're at the bottom end. So if they're that good, we've got to be climbing, surely.
Aye, I can't remember that. I give up. The more that come on, the worse we get. So it is what it is. We'll just bash on and hope somebody likes it. Right. So agenda thing. So we wanted to talk a wee bit about the £5 a ticket, see whether that was a success. We'll talk about the goalless draw against St Johnstone. Have a wee look at starting 11, how likely we are to see that starting 11 again. Look ahead to Motherwell. We'll have the listeners' questions that come in through or talking points that come through Twitter. And then we'll have a few wee housekeeping things at the end, just if I can round it off nicely, because that's a good thing today. Right, so £5 a ticket, right? We had a sellout, but not quite a sellout in terms of everybody that fell on the ground. So it was about 19,000 that were there. Colin, do you think it was a success, or how much of a success do you think it was?
Well, it was a success in terms of the attendance, which was the whole point. But whether the performance entices people to pay, I don't know, was it 27 quid or something for the cheapest seats for an adult seat? Whether that entices anybody to come back for the next game, is it Dundee United, maybe the next home game? I don't know. I don't know if it would. It's like the reason that people have drifted, we were told at the start of the season, was because of the performances.
Yeah,
they've certainly not got any better. Certainly now Boyle's away, it's not any better. So because we're not scoring goals. So it was a success on the day, getting 19,800, 500 or something in. Good, but I suppose that is to be seen, isn't it? Because it's about the knock-on effect that's got.
And Leon, you bumped into a character for Shakespeare at the game.
I apologise. It was just I feel sorry for him. He was obviously on a stag do, and he had some gap on, put it that way. It was where I was. It was loads of tourists, and again, I've had a stag do sitting right next to me. I'm in the east, quite close to the singing section, right next to them. And it was really, really busy. Like you say, whether these people are going to return them is a different story, but there's going to be something said for picking up on the tourist market in Edinburgh. There's that alone. That was the first thing I thought about when they started piling in just for kick-off, and you could hear, like, there was Danish folk outside, or Norwegian, one of them, with Scandinavia, I'll say. And that's what it was good I get from my geography. But I was sitting there getting shown about Sunday outside when I was heading at the East Stand, and then there was all the English guys. There was other European people there because I could the way they were, their accent they were talking. But it was really good. But they've got to. I can't do all the online things and that for picking up tickets and no Groupon, but they'll definitely be wanting stuff like that because I've seen folk coming in with printed off tickets loads and that with different headers on them for different organisations that are clearly selling the tickets for Hibs. But I thought as a success, it was definitely a success because of the attendance. But whether you're going to get them back in weekly is a different thing. But is it maybe better pushing out and offering no first timers, but people who are visiting the city through travel agencies and stuff like that, opportunities to get tickets at a cheaper rate, just to get them in the door, buying food and spend the money.
Maybe not a bad idea. I was doing dead early, so when I try to get a good parking space, I can't be busy, so we were down for kind of at 2 o'clock. We were just the back at 2, and it was already dead busy. Then, like we drove past the shop, and the shop had a queue at the door at that point, and there was a good buzz about the place early doors. Another thing that you noticed was how many fans St Johnstone brought through. So it wasn't just a bumper Hibs crowd that was there, but St Johnstone, I don't think I've ever had that many Easter Road before.
No,
even if they played kind of cup games, they kind of played for any semi-finals of that Easter Road before, have they?
They've never had the upper bit. They've always had like a no bad away support in the bottom corner next to the West Stand, but they've never had the upper. I do remember them ever filling the full bottom of the South Stand. Like,
aye, it was good to see. Anyways, and it was good to see like a healthy Hibs support there as well. Pre-match entertainment, we had a bit of opera. So, excuse me if I get her name wrong. Kiara Murphy, I think her name was from memory. Leon, what did you think of that as an idea? How well it was executed?
It was different, Ian. I actually quite enjoyed it. Seen folk were obviously having their digs on Twitter and their jokes about it and that, which is fair dues, and saying like, oh, again, I've seen somebody say something like, oh, she's managed to murder the best football song in the world or something. But I was like, I enjoyed listening to a different version of it, to be honest. And some of the fans started singing along near the end and half-time, day in and at half-time, because I feel like you got a good chat with the guys next day at half-time and that, but I want something going on at half-time, I want a wee bit I don't want to call it class as entertainment, just something happening. Just hearing people getting shout-outs and that and all that nonsense. Something going on and just continuing the flow of the afternoon, Not just having like coming to the ground, grinding to a halt after 45 minutes, then not the second. But I thought, I said, I'm brilliant. What fucking pair of lungs she's going up.
What would you call him?
I didn't mind them trying something different. But all I would say was about, I think Barry had said on Saturday, get to your seats early and all that. It was 2:40, 2:45, getting your seats and all that. It was about 5 to 3 she came on the pitch, which then meant they had to chop her early because the players were on the pitch. The game didn't start till near 3:05. And it's probably, I'm assuming Barry's trying to wait till folk are in the ground to the latest possible chance he could get, because everybody just piles in late. So they want to do this match the atmosphere thing, or whatever they call it, the what was it the thing?
Match day experience.
The match day experience. But nobody fucking turns up to 5 minutes before the game. Everybody piles in at the last minute. Like, you're there at 2 o'clock or whatever you say, at the back of 2, you got in the stadium, no doubt, and you'd be sitting there. The place was empty till 2:45. Then it starts filling up a wee bit, and then at 3 o'clock, everybody's in. So until like, and it's just habit, isn't it? Staying at the pub to the last minute you can. I suppose if by doing more of these things, if like Liam at the derby and all that as well, that might encourage folk to get there earlier, because you've got there's something got to be happening. It's just a new thing. So
get folk in and spend the money, or spending more time in the ground, which could have saved up them spending money, buying more food, buying more drinks, and getting them. Obviously, it's going to be the alcohol that's going to do it. I think that'll be if that's allowed back in and they can organise that right. They want. It's not going to be good for local businesses and local pubs, right? But they didn't want folk in the pubs in Easter Road and all that. They want them in the ground spending money and buying beers. which is in the putting the money at the club, which is going to help.
Yeah.
Whether it'll change, it would be changed overnight, obviously, but that's what they're wanting. They're wanting you in that ground as long as possible, spend the money.
I heard something about that, but I probably can't say it. I probably shouldn't say it on air. I'll tell you after, right?
Aye, all right.
Mind me to do that.
Aye. I always think the thing with the pubs on Easter Road is, see if you're not like a regular at them, it's probably quite an intimidating thing to do. Having that at the stadiums probably suits a lot of folk that then they feel as intimidated going into just a pub where it's all folk who are, because the pubs are rammed on match days. Well, if it's rammed with regulars, you probably wouldn't. There's a lot of folk who think twice about going in. I was reading, I think it was Pretty Boy and Hibs.net had put about the match day experience thing and said it's a phrase he hates and referenced the English Premier League, who, when they launched 30 years ago, I think it was, Colin. No 20 that I thought. They tried cheerleaders and sumo suits and kind of all sorts of entertainment before it, fireworks, all the whole kit and caboodle, and then decided that folk actually just wanted to watch a game of football. I reckon because it never worked 30 years ago, whether it means it wouldn't work now. So I'm quite happy to see Hibs try these things. I thought it was all right. I thought it was better when we had the Retro Video Club in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that was like, you've got a derby as well, so you've got an away end getting him some stick and all the rest of it, and it was a bit, obviously
it's a bit more lively a song though. You know what I mean? It's the opera thing. It was good. She's a good singer in that, and she probably is, and she'd done the one at half time, the Italian 91 and all that. St Dorma, as it's actually called, but she'd done all that. So that was. I just don't know if a football crowd's for that kind of music. You know what I mean? It's if you get somebody with a guitar or something, it's a bit different.
One of my thoughts about that as well, when I was listening at half time, I was a bit like the tourists, all the tourists that were in, all the day trippers. They must be thinking, this is fucking great. You can a bit of culture as well at half time. And thinking, I
think it happens all the time.
Imagine them going back. Imagine the German message boards have gone, I went to Scottish football. It was a fiver to get in. They had opera at half time, opera before the game. And that'll become a thing like we go over here. I can fly fucking Germany for cheaper than I can get to Barcade.
I was singing along in St Johnstone at the end. I didn't ken all the words in that. I kind of had a tune, but I got to get involved in that. Brought back memories of the World Cup. Right, the game itself. Colin, what were your thoughts?
What were my thoughts? I don't like, so that's 3-0 nils I've watched in the last week now. At no point in any of those games have I felt we're going to lose the game. Mm-hmm. But I think at no point in any of those games I felt we're going to win the game either, which is, well, it is 0-0, but you know what I mean? It's like you're sitting, even with Celtic, you're thinking they're not going to score here. So I guess you've got to look at that and say, well, I don't know, is it Caldwell, goalie coach, whoever is looking after that, have really tightened that defensive side of the team up since they've came in, because we were leaking goals and we've been moaning about it for August to December. We'll hear about it. Just all you need to put a cross in the box and you'll score. Well, nobody's even getting crosses in anymore, are they?
Right, yeah.
You know what I mean? Dubrovski's only having to come for a couple, you know, that per game. So we've definitely, we've definitely tightened up defensively as a team, because I guess it's the whole team that's doing the defending, that's protecting the defenders that were being exposed. So that's a positive. The negative is, when the fuck are we going to score a goal again? Because we didn't look like scoring, unless you've got Doyle Hayes or somebody pinging a shot for distance, because we're not creating chances. I think the best chance we had on Saturday was maybe Doig hit a shot, didn't he? And the keeper saved it, and Cadden hit one for distance that Doig got the rebound on.
Right. Melkerson had one that the defender blocked.
But they're kind of for distance in that, you know what I mean? They're not obvious. I don't know what the XG and all that was. Do you see Man United's XG yesterday in the second half?
No, well, I imagine it was 0, because they were. I'm sure it was like a 15-minute spell where they not like it was 96 or 92% percentage. Fucking hell. Anyway,
so I don't know what the XG was, but we never. I mean, it wasn't. I never felt like we were going to score, but I never felt like we were going to let any in. So that's why it's 0-0. It's just like totally like devoid of any creation. Both ends of goalies aren't having saves to make in any of the 3 games we've watched, really.
Yeah.
Over the last week.
Oh, really? What did you think of it?
Same, just pretty much what Colin said there. I feel like we look after the ball really well, Ken. turnaround and all that, the passing, the defending's massively improved. Like you said, it's not about even making tackles, and it's stopping crosses, it's getting back as a side and into good positions defensively. Like I was saying, we hold onto the ball well, we look after it. One of the chances that St Johnstone had was Josh Campbell taking a bad touch and then falling back in, and could either shout for a penalty and stuff like that, but it was because of again just trying to play football and play in tight positions and be brave on it. But I just feel I'm just in a like scoring, and it's really worrying me, the scoring thing, because there's been a lot of Hibs teams in the past that have not played scoring, and one of them went down. Well, no go down, but I think we're pretty safe points wise. Like, it would take something catastrophic for it to happen. But I'm just worried with the lack of goals. Well, I feel like the creative players like Jasper and that, he ran out of steam in the second half, but I feel like they're picking it. Everything's happening a bit too deep. Like, we're playing with wing backs, and we're putting a lot of the balls going through that, a lot of the games going through that. So the attacks are happening and kicking off 10 yards outside their own box and 15 yards up outside their own box, and they've got a lot of men to beat, a lot of grass to run into before they actually get into dangerous areas. And on Saturday, Doig was up there. Doig was up there on his own against 5 at times, the way they were defending. Again, so it was one guy against 5, and we just didn't. They're not looking like scoring at all.
We've tightened up that much defensively that we've not got anybody up top. Like, I was just watching Monday Night Football before we started here, and they were showing Man City doing their press, and there's 5 of them just up on the Man United boys, and if you beat that, you're in like in one-on-one with the centre half. But we're that deep, like we've not got anybody pressing at all, because we're just fucking sitting here. So when we do get the ball, same at a corner, like we take everybody back at corners now. We didn't even have one up. Mind you, used to leave. We've always left at least one up. Sometimes we have Brave leave 2 up.
Boyle was
you put the fastest boy
it?
up there, don't you? And because now if you clear it, they've just got the ball back. You know what I mean? It's like it's. But then I guess a lot of teams, they used to say, I can't remember hearing it recently, but you build for the back, don't you? You build and you go solid, no lose, and then you build on that. So maybe that's the plan.
I think the fact it's been like the non-alls, this is obviously the ultimate pressure getting put on them. I was getting a bit worked up about on Saturday, as you know, for the group chat. But it was more like it was like you say, you're right. If you want to like break it down and really look at it and say, if you said prior to Maloney come in, we need somebody to come in, stop the cross in, and we need to be better at the back and build for there. If somebody with no affiliation to Hibs kind of looked at it and says, well, the Hufter, well, he's done that. He's made them solid at the back. They're not conceding as many balls into the box. They're not conceding as many goals. Now they just need to turn that into then moving forward and getting the ball up the park a bit quicker and just looking a bit more threatening. I felt when Melkerson and that came on and Scott Allen, I thought Scott Allen never played. I'm not going to pick on him because he's had 15 minutes and he was a lot of stuff broke down on him. But he had a couple of moments where he was trying to get the ball forward, and it looked different. It looked a lot different from what we've been seeing. The Melkerson lad, I've not been on the bandwagon about getting him started because I'm totally happy with him saying he's not ready yet, or it's a project, or try to build that and that. But I thought again, when he came on, he looked a lot sharper, a lot more movement, more fluid in his movement, which you're always going to get compared to Doig, because at the end of the day, he's struggling coming back for injury. I didn't think he should be. I think he's really ready to start, but obviously the injury position we're in sort of found him back in the starting lineup. But I think it's maybe time to get Melkerson started and maybe try and go with 2 up top, or it's the 2 sitting in behind the striker. It's not working for me. That's saying it's
worrying. 90 minutes. We're not getting 90 minutes with any of them. We're not getting much out of Doig at all. We can't get 90 out of Henderson. We can't get 90 out of Sylvester or Jasper, what the fuck his name is. And like Melkerson, obviously they're saying he's not ready. I assume we can't get 90 out of him either. You know what I mean? It's like we're not getting 90 minutes with anybody in those positions.
How big a bearing on how well we can play, right, and how fluent and fast we can play, do you think the players available is having on things? So if you look at the starting 11 on Saturday, Dabrowski wouldn't normally play. Doig wouldn't normally play left centre half, so he's out of position, playing a position that's not familiar to him. Chris Cadden played right centre half, exactly same, so he wouldn't normally be in that position. Dre Wright wouldn't normally play. Josh Campbell wouldn't normally play. Right? Doidge, in current form, so if Nisbet's fit, Doidge isn't starting. So that's that 6 players in that starting 11 that either, or Lewis Stevenson, the other one, wouldn't they play in that position normally, or wouldn't they be playing if everybody was fit? So 7 out of 11 are either no for the first team at all, or are playing out of position. Is it understandable then that we didn't play, as fluently as we could be?
Aye. I mean, because it's breaking down the midfield. The midfield too are not suited to, or don't appear to be suited to a fast-flowing, attacking game of football, do they? Because neither of them have shown that in any of the games. Like, I know Campbell gets the brunt of it, but the two of them don't. Like, he's taken his 2 goals away the other week that won us the game. He doesn't shoot. He doesn't. He's reverted. He's had flashes of passing the ball forward and that, or try to get it forward. But we've not got. I think that's the huge failing in the team, because there's no for defence to middle to front. There's the big hole in the middle that's slowing everything down. Aye. And that's that, because you've got the boys out wide, Henderson and Jasper and Mitchell when he's available. Cadden will be up there wide. Doig will be on the outside. There's nobody in the middle to find them, and because they're slow, they're ponderous, both of them. So I think that's maybe even getting Newell back could make a wee bit of a difference, but getting then somebody else beside Newell or 2 new ones, whatever it may be, would be it's got to it's a huge hole in the team. I think that's their whole the biggest issue there. That's why we're not scoring as many goals, because we're not creating anything that's breaking down there. I think.
You're right. I think the midfield, the central area of the central of the team is the big issue. But you could actually start with some of these this side there, but you could chuck in like a Newell into that and anybody, to be honest, anybody different, a wee bit different, that's going to carry the ball a bit better and be a bit more creative.
I just think how different the team would be. Sorry, Leon. How different the team would be, and I know it's pipe dream, but Newell and McGuinness. Or the McGuinness we saw for 5 or 6 games. Just the same team that played on Saturday, but put the 2 in. It'd be a totally different side.
And I feel like Campbell's actually came on really well last few weeks. Like Gardy's obviously folk getting on it really tight, and I was one that I was in my head watching him. I was like, I just didn't see it. I just didn't see what he offers to the team. But the last few weeks, he's massively improved, I think. I thought even the week that Doyle he scored the 2 goals, I thought Campbell was absolutely solid alongside him and gave him that freedom to find himself in the edgy boxes and stuff. But you need to, for me, McGuinness he's been a massive miss. And it's been, I wouldn't say it's Boyle level, but it's no far off it. Because you've seen how we were playing with him at the start of the season and how rosy and how good it looked with Hibs. And as soon as he went out injured, everything's went backwards, I think.
He only played a handful of games, but just the impact he had in those games. He's probably still their second or third top scorer. I think Boyle and maybe Nisbet. I don't know if he's even got the same as Nisbet, because he didn't score many, did he? So, you know what I mean? That's what you're talking. He only played till fucking September, and he's still on the top scorers list.
You can see Boyle being our top scorer coming the end of the season. The way things are going now.
Definitely.
I think and again, maybe this is like where you give Maloney a bit of credit, because I think there's quite a few players in the team who have improved. Even if you look at how poor in inverted commas, right? The starting 11 was, so we've been talking about there, you having to put square pegs in round holes or play players that wouldn't normally be getting a start. But they're still competing, they're still trying to play, like you mentioned earlier, Leon, about being brave on the ball and trying to play out tight spaces and try to play football. It looks like there is progress there, but I would dead easy to defend against. I think when we get the ball, teams can get organised against us because we're too slow and too deliberate with it. And I think that's probably the biggest thing you miss when you've not got players in their natural position and players who are in form.
Actually, I think Leon touched on that when Alan came on. Although a lot of folk were saying that's finished and all that, but I think there was 2 or 3 different passes he played that were quick. they were quick into space and stuff like that, and that's what we don't do. And
Yeah.
he's the one, he sees a pass before he's got the ball, because everybody else is getting the ball, stopping, going, right, oh, there's the ball. And by that time, the defence are back in and round. Because we've not got that boy to do that.
But we somebody screaming right now, Will, when they hear that, listen to us saying, you're contradicting yourself, Will, because I was on Twitter saying, I was like, Ken, thanks for everything you've done. But he just looked miles over. But that was just on things breaking down at him. But on reflection, you're like, he's not done 90 minutes for. Well, he's never done 90 minutes at Hibs, I think. He's not had a decent run out, but he did have the moments he just put in the ball into areas and then behind him that, and having somebody a wee bit different, almost not him, but having somebody a wee bit different with a bit of different vision and a bit of different play about them might make a big difference. But Alan, for me, is no the guy, because he's not going to give you 35 minutes or 45 minutes of hard work as well, which I think you need in the way Maloney wants to play. Because he wants the ball to move that quick, and he wants the ball to move about, and people be in possession. That you need to be mobile to get on the ball, and I think that's one thing about the midfield is being very, very mobile. Maybe no mobile going forward, but mobile for finding itself space for passes.
I think with Alan is another one. If everybody's fit, does they get near the starting 11? I don't even care if he gets on the bench. I kind of upset some folk because he's a really popular player. I loved Scott Allen. Like when he was at his peak, he's an absolute joy to watch. But it's very rare that we see it now. And most of the time, you're looking at the best thing he's done in a game is a pass that's nearly come off. Not even a pass that's completed. Ken's like, oh fucking that nearly went through, but it's been intercepted. But the amount of times now you'll see him pick up the ball in midfield, you'll be looking up to see where he's about to play the pass, and somebody's taking off his tone, they're away from him, and then he's having to do Kenny daft fouls, or the like obvious Kennedy's either just booting them or hauling them down or whatever. Which he does. His last couple of bookings have kind of been in the back, players just running away from him.
Like you were saying about players improving, though, you're absolutely spot on, because even Henderson, like when he first came into Hibs for Celtic and that, I was like, you look like a deer in the headlights at Hibs a wee bit, and he'd obviously been a Celtic. No, that was a big step up from coming to Hibs, but just to start and maybe having a bit more pressure on him as a first team player, and somebody made to create. But I feel like he's looked pretty good in spells, but I still feel that I don't know if everybody was fit. Would he be in the starting 11 every week? Like, would you have a McGuinness instead of him? Or maybe McGuinness would be a bit deeper, to be fair, but he's one that you can see in glimpses. He's definitely got something, and he'll be a massive player for Hibs, 100%. But again, I didn't kind of, he's an iron that's sort of just been forced to put, no forced to put, but
I don't think he'd be in. I don't think he would be, because I think you'd have Mitchell on one side, you'd have Mueller in behind the striker, whoever that is, and maybe Jasper on the other side. So I think Henderson wouldn't fit in that formation if everybody was fit and available, because he's still, well, I don't know if he's still young, because he's been kicking about for a while, but he's inexperienced. He needs to bulk up a bit.
Definitely.
As well. So I think he would be on the bench coming on here and there.
Quite interesting at the AGM, they were talking about needing a number 6, so like a kind of traditional defensive midfielder, as in Bartley or Milligan or Batty Jack.
Or Gogic.
or
They're not talking about. Is that what number 6 is? Is it? I thought it was like a boy that could start the play in that, though, like a McGeoch, like playing that deeper sort of defensive midfield role, picking the ball for the defence and starting attacks, which none of them that you mentioned could do.
No, but Newell does that. Newell comes deep to start the attacks, but I got the impression, but I didn't hear it first hand, right, and I first kind of just interpreting what I saw on Twitter and for the forums.
I'd like to think that's what the number 6 is, rather than what you're saying. Because
I thought they were looking for somebody who's just like a kind of an N'Golo Kante type player that just goes in and can break up the play and then give the ball to somebody else to go and do the playing.
Well, I don't know. Who knows? I would like to think it would be somebody that can play a bit, as well as like what McGeoch used to do. He wasn't a defensive midfielder, but he sat deep. He would break up play. Clever, like breaking up play, sort of nicking off somebody's toes and starting a bit. And I'm not saying Dylan McGeoch, obviously, but you know what I mean. Dylan McGeoch type.
5, 6 years ago, would have been perfect if he wasn't injured.
Mind us to ask that tomorrow, Colin. What do we mean by number 6?
Aye, will do.
In terms of the starting 11, so do you think that we are likely to see that starting 11 feature like that in future?
On Sunday. They said in the paper tonight there's nobody.
Nobody's back.
Nobody's back. So they're playing on Sunday again, aren't they?
Same again.
Penalties. They better be practicing fucking penalties anyway. That's what we'll be.
Has there ever been a 0-0 after penalties?
I remember watching a European Cup final years ago, like when it was called the European Cup. I think it was Barcelona, and the team that played, or maybe it was in Barcelona, missed all their penalties. So it was like 2-0 on penalties or something. Stoya Bucharest seems to ring a bell.
Mad.
Need to Google that.
Dundee United were in the playoff against St Mirren, and they played for penalties because mind Robbie Nielsen was fucking buzzing that they taken it to penalties, and I think they missed everyone. They maybe scored one of them.
They might have missed them all.
I think they missed them all. It was fucking superb. Imagine playing for penalties and doing that.
See, many people got like plaudits for that. I remember he was the one that were all like claiming was the hero of the day.
That Chelsea one last week. They'll bring the keeper on for penalties, and he's the one that fucking blasts it in his face.
Outstanding. I'm off of that.
Amazing.
Other big talking point for the game was the potential, or the booking that the boy for St Johnstone, I can't remember the boy's name, for the foul on Jake Doyle-Hayes.
Yeah.
What we're thinking about that one then? Is the yellow card about right, or should it have been a red?
It's a red card. You could tell. I mean, I'm behind it where I was sitting, so I was purely picking it up from the Hibs players' reactions and the St Johnstone boys' reaction. He fucked off away over so the referee took ages to get to him. That's a big telltale for me, like, because he's like, I'm getting the fucking way here, because if it's an instant, sometimes they just pull the red straight out, don't they? But if he's way out the way, then he's got to calm down and think about it. Definite red card. Even the TV have said it. Even Sports Scene, McFadden and that were saying definite red card.
St Johnstone manager said at the end as well, his interview was, he says, we've had essentially saying they got away with him because they've had a few bad decisions against them.
Aye. I can't wait till it evens out for us. That's what I was saying. Like I said that to them on Saturday. Like,
I should say it's the first good decision we've had this year or something. I was like, fuck off.
He says the referee done well. Now he also said something like the referee done well to keep 11 on the park, 11 aside, because there was a few bookings there that could have picked up for the Hibs players as well. And I'm thinking, was that? I can't even remember the tackle.
Melchester had one where he went in when the boy over at the East Stand side, but I think that looked worse than it was. I think it was actually that bad attack when he picked up a booking, but then he did no long after that go into their centre half with his elbow, which could have picked up a booking quite easily. So very Kev Davis got a point there, but Porteous makes that challenge, red card right away. The referee doesn't even think twice about it.
2 red cards for Porteous.
Oh, I don't know if it's even. We always do the Porteous as the example, but I mean, I think if anybody does that tackle, it's a red card.
Yeah.
Like that's the like if Melkerson put that tackle in, it would have been a red card. You know what I mean? It doesn't. We always use Porteous as an example because how many times he's been sent off? Once this season.
Yeah.
So it doesn't quite fucking equate, does it? Because he's put more than one of the tackles.
All right, look, with any fucking logic in it when we're pretending we're persecuted here, right?
I know, but it's a shocking decision. That's the point. Instead of this fucking Ryan Porteous does it. The many times I've read that, I'm fucking like, he's only been sent off once. You know what I mean? Like, he got away with it twice against Celtic.
You look at the Dundee game where Rocky gets sent off for lifting his hands, right? There's no, for me, I think it's violent contact. I think he's excessive force, and that is, he has caught the boy, but I think it's like a kind of a big act of violence. But in the same game, Porteous has had boy stamp his studs down his back, and Josh Doig's taking studs to the back of the head.
Well, that was the worst one, the Doig one.
Aye, the Doig one. Yeah. And you see which one is deemed to be a red card, and then you see a tackle like that, and you're thinking, surely the referees have got the priorities wrong if they're saying Rocky's is a red card, but that one's all right.
I genuinely think I read somebody saying it, like Hibs, Ben Nosel's been out saying that he's been speaking to the boy, the manager of the refs, can't remember his name.
They've actually done something like.
Aye, and McGinn said they were
Inept.
What was the word? Inept, right? So that gets held against you. We spoke about it before when O'Connor took the dive or apparent dive, mind, and then everybody, and it gets held against you for weeks. And I think I'm sure there's something in that. These fuckers are moaning about us all the time, didn't give fuck all. Craig Levine spoke about it as well. You know, when I think it was Dougie McDonald. He was like, "You're going fuck all the day."
Aye.
That's what he said to him. Like, probably covering his mouth in that before everybody started doing that. But that was what he said to Levine one day. "You're going fuck all here today," and I'm sure there's something in that. I mean, you see the referee's reaction to Doyle Hayes when he dared to get up and say,
Aye.
"He's just about took my
See his
fucking shin
face.
off."
Aye.
I've got a bit of conspiracy theory on all this, to be fair, if you want to hear it.
Yes, definitely.
Right,
I'll get the tinfoil hat ready.
Exactly. But I think like the level of refereeing, we talk about, I think we do talk, everybody talks about every season, and every season everybody thinks it's the worst it's ever been, right? But they'll be pushing VAR this year, and the referees 100% want VAR. Because one, it gets more of them into jobs for actually, because they'll need more officials on the game to game for checking the stats and that. And could they be performing to a lower level so that the fans and everybody's pushing for VAR so much that it gets to beyond the point that we're just going to have it? Because there's no way that they're going to be like, if they had a great season, if all the referees were playing at a high level, or doing well at a high level this year, nobody would be like, they need VAR. What do you need VAR for? We've got some of the best referees in Europe. Scottish football's well known for how good the referees are in Europe, blah, blah, blah. But it's the total opposite. It's we hound each other. Every week we're watching Rangers and Celtic pop up the nonsense about who's getting cheated by who, blah, blah, blah. And the referees will be playing off it saying, I'm not saying they're making bad decisions, right? Or fucking cheating, but if somebody came and showed you this, that it was true because they were wanting VAR, you would fucking believe it.
Hey, look, you have to commend them for their foresight, because they've been fucking planning this for about the last 30 years.
Before TVs were watched again.
That's why it's a conspiracy theory, not a theory.
But the one it wouldn't be a VAR thing right enough. But did you see the clip? I think it was Aberdeen TV played off Lewis Ferguson stood over the ball, so the Rangers boy kicked it off and booted him. And then later in the game, Ferguson booted the ball off a boy.
Tavernier.
And Tavernier never booked him.
Aye.
Like, but it's in the same game, same referee on the same day.
Clearly specifically done it to show the referee what was happening.
At any point you do it to the referee tell the ball.
It's absolutely embarrassing.
That's aye. Things that make my blood boil. And then you can't call them out. See, if you mention it, you get, or like I did it last week about Celtic, get refereed different to how we get refereed. And fucking hell, you just got hammered on Twitter. It was just every Celtic account gone.
Aye.
There was one boy tweeting a list of decisions that had gone against Celtic. He had a list of them ready to go. Ready to go in case somebody questioned it. I wasn't even criticising Celtic, criticising the referee.
They didn't even acknowledge your point. This is my point, and it's just complete. What about it? Didn't even answer what you're saying. But what about us? That's all they care. It was the same yesterday. Livingston manager dared to say, "That's not a fucking corner, and that isn't a handball," which it wasn't. Right. But they start spinning it and going, "But it isn't." Like, what are you arguing? Because that isn't a corner, and that is. We missed the penalty anyway. Doesn't fucking matter. What would you do? It wasn't a fucking penalty in the first place.
Yeah, one of the boys was posting a picture up. Shinnie getting the ball kicked against his hand, 10 yards outside the box, in the corner. It was heading like maybe for a Celtic player who was running away for goal, and he had his hand by his side. The boy, this I can't remember the name of it. It's a Celtic guy, and he tries to point out all the L's, the referees against Celtic every week, and everybody's like, what the fuck are you picking that? It's nonsense. That was a nonsense call.
We're obviously changed off Matthew's agenda here, but the thing is, this is how they get the decisions, because like Matthew, fucking anonymous podcast account, has posted something about Celtic and they fucking bombard them. It's the same if it was Rangers. It's the same would happen. So referees are thinking, fuck this, man. Just give them, subconsciously or no, they're going, just fucking give them whatever it is they want. Like when you give your bairns something to shut them up. Just take the fucking iPad. Take the iPad and fuck off. You know what I mean? Like, put Peppa Pig on. You know what I mean? That's what it's like.
All right. Do you want to talk about Melkers? I think we kind of touched him. Well, touched him. We never touched him. That's not what this podcast is about. We touched on him earlier on. But Melkers and Hage, I think I got his name right.
Sounds
Haig, Haga, we'll go with it, right? He can text in 80295 and tell us how to pronounce it phonetically, and we'll go with that. How do you think they got him?
I think Melkerson made an impact when he came on. He was running about and that. He nearly scored almost. Well, he got a shot away as soon as he came on. And he looked lively and quick. Haga, both times I've seen him come on, just looks like he's running about a lot. I've not seen much of him with the ball. A bit like Campbell, but out wide.
What about you, Leon?
That's pretty same as Colin what he said. He's Melkerson definitely made an impact. He looks very sharp, very he looks quick. He's good feet and stuff. I think he'll be a great signing for Hibs for the.
Looks keen and enthusiastic and pleased to be here.
Technically, it looks really good. Like he picked up the ball, turned and passed on Saturday, but it just flowed through him. Sorry, the way he done it. It wasn't like I never looked an effort the way he was moving. The Haggis, he looks like 100 mile an hour. Just wants to give him 100 mile an hour run, pick up the ball, just run, man. That's fine. Be enthusiastic, and we'll see how he gets on. And you never know. He's another one that's, again, they've maybe been brought in and ended up in the first team a lot quicker than they're expecting through injury. So maybe he's not ready, and maybe that's why he's looking a wee bit overzealous. But I was impressed with him, to be honest. And you want a bit of energy. You want a bit of energy, a wee bit of bite in that, and they definitely give that. So I was impressed with him.
I asked my son Josh. So Josh doing football coaching at university. I kind of mentioned that before, and say from a coach's perspective, what do you think Melkerson? Because we're talking about him in particular. Because I pointed out one of the things I noticed about him first of all was how much he was trying to look like Scott Allen. Same haircut, and everything. I was like, oh, this isn't any good for me. He picked one move in particular. He said, what you get from Melkerson, you maybe didn't get for Nisbet, and you maybe haven't seen for Doidge. I think it was the move where Jaspers beat the boy on the Sylvester.
The left.
On the left and cut it back. Melkerson shows for the ball, doesn't get it the first time, but then moves into another space to show for the ball again. It's like so quick. He's like, that's no work. I'll go into the next position. And just kind of anticipating what's going to happen. And he ends up kind of getting a shot away, which gets blocked. But there was that sort of anticipation and that movement, which, Josh, that kind of was the thing that probably set him apart from what we're seeing for Nisbet and Doidge recently.
Yeah.
He looks really sharp. He was really sharp and he was really quick in his movement and that. And I felt when he came on, even his movement and his pace, it made me a bit more confident, thinking, we might score here. Okay. Whereas before he was in the park, and obviously like, fuck, somebody hit off some cunt and hopefully it goes in.
And having somebody, if he's starting on Sunday, having somebody quick like that, you might just need one clearance and he's away one-on-one with a defender or clean through, which we've not had that option with Nisbet or Doidge because they're not quick enough. So
and he looked like he fancied himself to do something as well. It was just like because he had a shot through distance as well, which kind of deflected and looped over. But again, that's something that we're not seeing so much with Nisbet and Doidge. I couldn't really tell you the last effort of goal, like serious effort of goal Doidge had.
Well, I had that rebound on Saturday, but I mean, I know what you mean.
But he took it away from the goal.
No, the goalie saved that, I think, didn't he?
Did he?
Aye, hit off the goalie.
Better look at it. Like,
just hit the goalie. Like, it was a hard angle in that, but aye.
He's struggling a bit now, Doidge.
Aye. It's a sore injury he's had. Like, I mean, I don't know. Is that the one? No, Halkett. What's the other one? Suter. Is that the one Suter's had 2 or 3 times? They say they reckon it. You know, it can be like Suter's had it 2 or 3 times, and it's a talk of career ending at that point. So getting it once, it's a serious injury to have.
I believe Doidge still had some impact for long COVID as well. So maybe just like I say, I think he would be, if we had other options there, I don't think Doidge would be starting. We would be giving him more time to come back.
Because he's another one that started the season really well. Yep. Scored at Motherwell, scored against Ross County, and then that was him, wasn't it? He was pretty much out after that. And him and McGuinness were big losses October, November time. And we've still not got them back.
I like him. he offers a lot, but he's not anywhere near the player he is. Like, no way since he came back. And I don't know if it's maybe these injuries are now caught up with him because he looks leggy every. Because he was always, I always remember there was a chat about him being really, like, when they do the racing and the running and the training, he is actually one of the quicker players, which you wouldn't believe, but there was a
long stride or something.
Aye. And yeah, it was, and you can see him like when he opens up, he is quite sharp. But the last few games, he's looked so leggy early doors and looked fucking knackered on Saturday. And look, that's obviously because he's obviously been injured for so long and having to come back. And I think there's just an amalgamation of things happening at once that it's just injuries. They're not going to bring full back in a bit too early, and then folk maybe that aren't ready and. It's just all coming together at once for in a negative way.
Aye, it's not great. Colin, do you want to take us on to points for Twitter? We've got a week of a revamped approach to save us a bit of time this week.
Sure. So there's six topics, right? So tell me what you want, and we'll do one at a time. So we've got the makeshift defence, the creativity, the referee, the injuries, the atmosphere, and then just a sort of irreverent section.
Leon, you take first pack out of those.
Makeshift defence, I'm interested in. Thanks.
Right, so there's some points in there.
What we should, before you start, we should have done this like dub for the above. If we thought about this, you could have put the categories, we could have the prop coming down, and we could have could it down like Vic and Bob.
Do it next week. And then I'll do the pub singer thing as well.
What to do is put it on like a draw a big bobby, and then it could be the wanger from the banger, like that. Come up with the categories on it.
Right, so we picked makeshift defence, right? So there's points for folk. Anybody just listens or wonder what we're laughing at.
Leon produced the graffiti Bobby and just at the right moment.
Right, so makeshift defence, right? So Richard, Dav, LG and Cow456 and Andrew McBee all said stuff like we got a clean sheet with two left backs in the team. Thought Porteous and Doig were solid. What did you think of Cadden in a back three? Are we destined for a future in 0-0s? And can anybody remember the last time we kept 4 consecutive clean sheets? So I guess some of them are just points, aren't they? But what about Cadden in a back three then? What did you think of that?
Me, I thought Cadden in the back three, it was obviously, we've seen all his strengths have been getting forward this season and running the players, but I thought he'd done all right. I thought it was solid enough. He's a hard worker, so I think he's obviously sharp and he's very industrious, is the word we use. So having him in the back three works. My only worry on Saturday was the fact that him and Doig, obviously they were also getting forward quite well, and it reminded me a bit of like, I don't know if you don't mind much of Sheffield United when they were in the Premier League a couple of years ago, and that overlapping fucking centre halves. It was so similar to that, and I was speaking to the boys next season. I says like, it's like at times that Stevenson and Porteous are a back two. When we were going forward, we were trying to go forward, because Cadden and Doig were obviously finding themselves like getting a bit not dragged out, but they were because we were trying to go and win the game as much as people might not think we were. But trying to go forward in that, and I feel but I liked it. I think it was Doig. Doig was he was a centre half at youth level, I'm sure.
He was. Apparently, but then Mike Levine then changed his mind on that because he tried to say that he released him because Hickey was ahead of him. But Hickey's a left back, so I think he was talking shite.
I like him at the centre half. I think he's looked really good at centre half in all the games he's played. And I don't know if it's going to be one of these things that could happen out of not by accident, but circumstance that it could end up in there for a lot longer.
Him and Porteous were solid in the middle. You can't deny. I don't know if I like Cadden in the back three. I think you lose a bit. I'm getting forward, but what about the clean sheets? Then you got what you want to say?
I was going to say, I'll go back to the point I was making earlier about having the players out of position. Is I think both Doig and Cadden were reluctant to get us forward as much as we would have wanted to. Had they been playing wing back, obviously their job is just go fucking bombing up and doing that wing. I think they were dead reluctant to do it because they didn't want to leave us exposed. Like if they make a mistake or get caught out of position, we're fucked pretty much. I think that's one of the big problems of why we didn't have potency in attack, is because you have players that would be contributing that just didn't feel they could.
What about the last time we get 4 consecutive clean sheets? Must be going back a while for that. I'm reading
Well-
that Colin Leslie book at the moment. I bet it must be back into the Alec Miller days, eh?
You think it should have happened in the Championship? Yeah,
Aye.
you would have thought, surely we must have fucking had 4 games in a
I
row
mean,
there. We went to nil.
Did Hibs not have something like 8 or 9 clean sheets when that Samuel Tolsky was in goals for us? And it was a record, the Polish boy.
Aye.
Honestly, there was like when he was in goals for us.
This distribution was shite, Leon, wasn't it?
Terrible. That's why he go banned. And he had but I'm sure he had. I'm sure it was like 8 or 9 clean sheets. It was something mental, and it was and that was like the first time it had been done for about the 80s or the 70s or something. It's fucking mad. I might be talking absolute shite, but I mean, a big chance of that. But there's something that sticks in my head.
Well, somebody could text that in. If they can work that, if it can be arsed going through the fixtures.
It is a good thing, though. I mean, this is what you were saying earlier on, right? And we all focus because the thing that we want to see is goals. But it is a fact that we were struggling to keep clean sheets, and now we're doing it consistently. Like, and you have to acknowledge that's a good thing.
It makes no difference to the goalie switching. We were always saying, "What's a new goalie getting used to the defence?"
But we could have played in goal.
Switching goalies, and we're still getting because they're not having to make any saves.
Aye, we could have played in goal the last 2 games because I think Dundee or St Johnstone had a shot on target. So it's 2 games, not even conceding a shot on target. So there is a positive. It's too heavily weighted to that side now.
If we had nicked a goal on Saturday and nicked a goal against Dundee, it would have looked miles better, obviously, point wise, position wise in the league, and it is. And I don't know what his fucking phrase, but it is fine margins. It is, and as much as we're not creating chances, I don't care if we've just seen Hibs because how often did we used to say every season we'd have a time we'd be like, we're going to do Sunday for 5 or 6 because we're creating hundreds of chances and we're just not taking them. And we don't use it every season. I feel like it's like Groundhog Day every season when that gets spoken about. And I think it's just that we're just that used to it, that you go through a stage like this where you're just no looking like scoring and just no creating loads of chances. But when you look at some of the chances, we did have opportunities on Saturday. Like, we did have opportunities. We had moments. We had going to areas that we could have scored. And the shots on target thing always sort of throws that. If you didn't actually get a shot on target because it's been blocked or it's been put wide or it's broke down right at the last minute when it could have been a really good chance, then it looks like you've done nothing. But it's and look, at the end of the day, the only one stat you're interested in is goals scored. And then goal
top left corner, so it matters, as Tam says on Hibs TV. Right, next topic then. Right, did you remember the topics, Matthew, or do you want me to go through them again?
Referees, please, Bob.
Referees, right.
I have a P, please.
Right, so some of the names in: Christopher Black, Katie Stewart, Bedlam Lascar, and Michael. They thought the referee shot the red card. Baffled why it's not a red card. He was sitting in the West Upper wearing his glasses, and he still couldn't see it. Still couldn't see how it wasn't. Wondering why the ref was so strict on where throw-ins should be taken, but didn't give a shite about fouls. And one of them, I can't remember which, said if he sees the ref's assistant, the linesman we'll call him, on the east stand side, if he'd seen him for any longer, he'd have jumped the barrier and battered the shite at him with a flag he clearly didn't know how to use. So that was just some of the points about the referee. I think we covered the red card. Other than that, I mean, there was nonsense stuff like fucking sneaking 5 yards on the foul. There was one point, there was 2 of them, I can't mind, one of your players and one of their players kicking the ball back and forward over the halfway line to decide with the free kick, and you're like, come on, you fuck. What age are you? Like, what difference has got a fucking 2 yards going to make? Just go in the middle, where you are both fucking kicking it to. But anyway.
The ref was shocking. Just that, like, goes back to what Leon was saying. Just the standard of referees now is poor. But this guy looked like he had been promoted above his ability and shouldn't have been handling a game. That's that size in front of a crowd that big or whatever. He was just he was his name? Incompetent.
Did you get his name? Napier or something, was it?
Cunt face.
Jinky's one of those refs that are like we spoke about last week or the week before, where this is them just learning to do big games. You know, like he's had his championship games, he's done his St Mirren against Motherwell's, and now he's getting a Hibs or Aberdeen or Hearts at home before he then starts before they throw him at the Lions against the Rangers or Celtic game.
They just practice this one like they're playing in blue, so you can the team in blue doesn't get the red.
You can make all your mistakes in these games because they didn't matter. right?
Aye.
That's basically what they're saying, isn't it?
New early doors, it looked raw as anything, like as for a ref. Okay, he looked fucking like, I was like, I thought it was a lad of fucking for the juniors. Ken, like, it looked, they never lost control of the game, but there was loads of opportunities to get a yellow card down or book somebody and just settle the game down a bit and maybe control it, and they never early doors, and then it just go worse and worse.
I think the players can tell as well. I think you sense when the players go, this referee's not it, and I think players take advantage of it as well.
You would.
You play the ref, that's the way of saying that. Next topic then. Needing a recap now though, Injuries, atmosphere, creative options, and just stuff that isn't called irreverent. Aye.
Creative options.
Creative options, right. So quite a lot of things in here. So William, Todd, Mike, Gary Duffy, Dav again, Bedlam Lasker again, Michael Hansborough, Whiskey, Craig and Jamie of Longbangers. Think we need to play two up front. Number 9 and 10 are where we need to improve the team. Worryingly, don't know where we're going to score again. With nothing in the final third. Could have taken both sets of goal away. Neither team seemed to know what the aim of the game was. Jasper's performance, first half lively, second half not so much, but he's an excellent addition, can make things happen. And maybe the big point, so the subs improved the attack. Doidge is tired, uninterested. Henderson should stamp his authority. But I think probably the biggest talking point is Doidge is an empty shirt, always has been. Myths about the work rate, he's off the ball work and hold up play. And that was from Jamie, who used to be allowed to come into Longbangers before he posted that.
I think like, so we'll talk about Doidge. Well, kind of already talked about him. I think where we said like he's obviously coming back for this injury. In terms of the attack, I think we've got everybody fit, and you're maybe looking at a front 3 or 4 attacking players out of the team who are really driving it. Mueller, Jasper, Melkerson. I think even just those 3 gives you a bit of pace and a bit of creativity and a bit of movement, which is what we're sadly lacking at the moment. If you've then got Henderson in behind them, once he's up to speed, you know, like having got a few matches under his belt, etc. I think we look at a different team. You've got the Haggis.
Haggis.
He's going to end up just called Haggis, isn't he? Again, who looked pretty quick. Mitchell as well. I think when we've got players fit, the thing that we're missing now is pace and movement up front, because it's too laborious, it's too obvious what's going to happen, too easy to defend against. You put them into the mix, there's a bit of creativity, a bit of movement, and a bit of pace. We will look a much more dangerous team, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Seen Doidge never got a look in early doors in Maloney's reign as well when he was fit. When he was coming back in that. There were a few games that he just never even got a look in, and there was a lot of folk talking about that, saying, maybe Maloney just doesn't fancy him for the way he wants to play and stuff. And you can see that the way he wants to play. I think he'll want a lot more movement up top and a bit more like creativity for the strikers as well. Which Doidge obviously it gives you what it gives you, and folk can criticise him and say he's not done this and he's not done that, but it's fucking numbers. You look at his numbers and you look at what it has offered in his top form, and can't argue. Can't argue.
That's kind of what I thought when I seen that. I think we've spoke to Jamie before, like on Quick Bang and that, but because I was at one point last season going, fuck, the boy he's not got any coordination. But then once he gets a goal, he goes on a run and the confidence makes him a better player. But so I don't know if I fully agree that he's always been an empty shirt. And it's a myth, all that stuff about work rate, because when he wasn't scoring goals, he was still working hard for the team. This season, since this injury, we could probably, if you're basing him on that, I wouldn't probably disagree with that. But based on what we've seen over the previous 2 seasons, when he scored probably 15 goals both seasons that he's played before this, or is it only 1 season? But anyway, he was pushing 20 goals, wasn't he? When the season for COVID, he was pushing 20, and then he got cut short.
Yeah.
So and then last season he was up there with the other 2 scoring. They got 50 odd goals between them, didn't they? So I don't know if I fully agree with that. That has always been the case, but loud in opinion,
definitely don't agree with it. But
I think the top thing though is worth. I mean, we've got to look. I hope he's done two up top. He's done one sitting a wee bit deeper and stuff. And I think he needs to. He's going to have to start doing something a wee bit different because it's what I'm happy if I'm happy if it's a process. I'm happy if it's a process about making the team solid first and then going then changing it a bit more, slowly progressing in that. But and I ken the injuries and that are causing it. But if we've now got somebody like Melkerson who's looking now ready to start, and if he's happy, if he's want to play Deutsch and to offer what he offers, fair enough. I don't like the two in behind. I think it's again everything they're picking up is far too deep, and having somebody another 5-10 years further up the park makes a massive difference. I mean, Sylvester Jasper, he's beaten men, but he's beaten 3 and 4. Try to beat 3 and 4 men. He's beaten men 15 yards away from where he should be. If you get him further up the park or on the wing, I think he'll do some serious damage to teams. And it's not like he's like been playing with that because he was at Colchester playing, so he's up to speed and stuff. It's just I think two up top. Not every week. Ken Hostess for courses and that, but two up top's good, especially against St Johnstone at home and even Dundee away because they are doing off of fucking Livingston, and they changed their personnel to be fair, and obviously they're always going to come back for that a bit better, but I think we'll be a bit more attacking against these sides.
Aye, okay. I can't remember who's turn it to pick. Is it back to you, Matthew? What do you want?
Me,
injuries, atmosphere, or bucket of shite? Injuries.
Wanger for the banger. I'll take it. Injuries, please.
Injuries, right. So Rich, McGoo, Dav, they're not convinced players return from injury will add an attacking threat. Apart from Nisbet, obviously, he's out for the season, isn't he? But McGuinness is always injured. Newell's not been a goal threat, so where's the goals coming from? They've got sympathy for Doige coming back after that hellish injury, and basically, injuries, are they a good excuse? Was the question.
Aye.
Mitchell
Aye, Mitchell got a couple of goals. I think I find it hard to argue that they wouldn't make a difference when you had these players back, even if it just goes back to what I was saying about the options it gives you to play players in their normal position. So as these players start coming back, as Hanlon comes back, then you've got the use of Doig in his natural position. If Rocky's available and no suspended, then you can play Cadden in his normal position. You don't have to play Jay Wright if we've got Joe Newell available, or like all these things make a difference, and then all of a sudden your team becomes the better than the sum of its parts.
I think I said to you on Saturday, Matthew, I think the team that wasn't playing, they would clearly beat that team that played on Saturday.
Oh, aye, undoubtedly.
You know what I mean? The goalies are interchangeable, right? The goalies are on a par with each other, as far as I'm concerned. Even to Dabrowski's height, which is apparently 6'6". So he should be coming for every single fucking cross that comes in the box. But you look at the team and you go, that team's probably better. Like Mueller and Mitchell and Nisbet, Clark, Hanlon, McGuinness. You know what I mean? It's a better side.
A much better side, yeah.
So obviously they're not all going to start like you said. There'd be 6 or 7 of them, but I mean that's it's the majority. So it's a better team that's not playing. It's not an excuse. It's a fucking reason.
Aye. Maybe Clark as well though. Like was it Clark who again could like slot in at like wing back or centre half? Who then you can utilise other players further up the park, and maybe having guys that you rely on more at the back means that you can be a bit more expansive going forward. Right away, especially boys at Harlan, and maybe it's time to get Stevenson up top because everywhere else you put him is a fucking star. So.
Good shout, eh? Put the centre forward. That's a great shout. There was a question about injuries. Sorry, Cole. Just about whether or not they're down to something that's happening in training, or the players getting overworked or not getting the right warm ups or warm downs or whatever. Do you think there's anything in that line of thinking?
It's all different injuries they've got. It's not like I would have thought if that was the case, it would be all muscular things, not the same muscle, but it would be a wee calf, a groin, a hammy, whatever. Whereas this is like fucking actual ligament damage and stuff in a match.
Aye.
So I don't know what Neil's out
a lot
with,
of contact
actually.
injuries as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Neil's out with, but like there's a few. And I did see that. That's a point, actually. I seen something on the message board yesterday, maybe, and a guy saying, "Why do the club not update us on the injuries status of players?" What do you think of that?
It would be quite nice to know, wouldn't it? Like it would be to say, "Ken, this
There's no
player's
idea.
recovering well and we'll be a few weeks away."
Aye, I know Leon's saying there we do, right? So we know Nisbet's out for the season, right? When's Hanlon out till? When's Newell out till? What have they done? We don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like an update as in like a week, like a sort of week to week saying like he's 6 weeks closer or he's like from
See when they get injured. He's done he's broke his ribs, like he's out for 6 weeks. Or that's his ligament, he's out for the season. That's a calf strain, 4 weeks. You know what I mean? Like just normal sort of things like that. But we've not heard anything. It's like
they do a chat when they do the Twitter thing and that they are hang about like who's available and players about what they'll do is obviously they'll just say a list of who's still unavailable. Okay, but like they'll not actually go into detail about it, which I probably should.
Well, to some extent, I mean, there was folk disputing that they should. Why should they tell us? That's not a normal thing to happen, but it feels like it is normal to me. Like that, you would say in a press conference, if anybody's interviewing Sean Maloney, for example, they could say, "Can you tell us what's wrong with Paul Hanlon and how long he's out for?" I'll write that down. But you know what I mean? It's like, but it's never been asked, or if it has, it's never been reported.
We came into press today, it's because we've got an ex-Celtic manager, so we want to find out an angle on a Celtic question. That's kind of like they did with Lennon all the time. They'll not be bothered about the Hibs players. Anyway.
So that's injuries. So we've got 2 topics left. So atmosphere then. Big Dell, Dav, Neil McRae, Rory McLeod, Robert Glenn, somebody called CN, what the fuck that stands for, said that they were just mentioned the opera, and after Ness and Dorma at half time, which act and what song do we want next? But they should maybe send that in for Thursday night. It was a perfect reason to take your Bairn and a perfect reason to not take them back on Saturday. St Johnstone are on their arse in respect to confidence. We basically give them free tickets to fill their end to support them on. And last point, I think Leon, you might have touched on this earlier, but does the negative play start in the stands with the experts, in inverted commas, screaming about the ball going backwards? Players have been given an instruction, but they're not given a chance with the crowd being on their back.
That's I think that's got to be looked at for guys like Dre Wright and that, because there's no way I would be, if I was Dre Wright coming out of that pitch, kenning how fucking 3 misplaced passes in a row could have me hounded off the park by half time. Ken, that's 100%. That's affecting anybody, absolutely anybody. 100%. I think to go off track a wee bit, like, and we've obviously talked about this a lot, but the majority of folk that fucking hound these folk that are like, I don't mind folk criticising players. I really don't. I don't mind folk criticising performances, because at the end of the day, it's what we're here for. I like to love a wee bit of steam at the end of the week for working that and have a wee moan about the football, Hibs are shite, blah blah blah, right? But see, there's some of the criticisms, it's not even justified. Folk were criticising when he wasn't playing about how shite he is, right? And I'm like, half these folk, for me, in my opinion, they get half a bit of fucking pressure out of their own work, they'd fucking buckle like a fucking bit of paper and water, right? So, but they just fucking expect these players to fucking turn into fucking messy while getting fucking booed. So, but anyway, back to the question.
I think it's a fair question. What do you think, Matthew?
Well, I think the thing about taking your kids, either a good opportunity and then a good opportunity to take them back, I would be definitely, if I was still have kids at an age where you could take them for that kind of thing, you'd be using it as a threat, wouldn't you, Ken? Fucking eat your dinner, or next time there's a £5 ticket, you're fucking gone.
It's funny though, when my parents were younger, like they dragged me, because like, we had the season ticket, and there were Saturdays I was sitting and I thought, it's nice, like December fucking freezing, raining, and I think Soccer Saturdays on, or there's a live game and I'll just watch that. And she's saying, we've got the match. And,
aye.
Do I have to? So it's the parents that want to go, innit? It's the adults that don't want to go.
Anyway, kids like, they like the noise of the folk shouting and booing and Ken cheering and swearing and all the rest of it, because when you're going, oh, that's fucking, listen to him, that's magic. The St Johnstone fans were singing at one point, this is a library, And what a shite home support, right? And obviously, you didn't get the irony if you're a St Johnstone fan singing about somebody else's home support being shit.
We never even reacted to that though.
Fuck all, and it was like a library. In fact, there's times where the library rooms at us has been livelier, I would say, with kind of obviously a fraction of the folk here. And it's that thing, you need the players to get the fans a lift. You need something to happen. And you saw it with Melkerson come on, because the atmosphere got a wee bit better, because he was patting himself about, he was running about, he was kind of getting the arms up in the air. Yeah. And I can't remember who was, Haggard did it against Dundee, didn't he? He went up to the crowd and was getting at the kind of arms going to lift and going everybody. Now there's no that connection between there is a connection between what's happening on the pitch and what's happening in the stands, because there's no excitement, so there's no passion for the fans. You're missing. We've talked about it before about the leadership stuff, Colin. I think in the early days, Longbangers, David Gray was always, or McGregor, great ones to pick out his examples of Ken just the right time to smash somebody or go hammering into a tackle to get a crowd alive, because it's
start a pagger
like that. Start a pagger. That's it. You get, because you saw when the boy went in for that red card challenge, everybody's on their feet. There's a lot of noise and energy in the stadium, and then the problem is you get that happens.
Nobody went and grabbed them. Not the players were all moaning at the ref to send them off. What they should have done was piled in on the boy.
Aye, going to get him.
Aye, but there was nobody done that. They were all moaning at the ref instead. And you think, just somebody go and fucking spark him. Like, and
I think the normals as well, though. I think the expectation, no scoring will go fucking maybe go to them a bit, and because the derby atmosphere was great, and that was normal. But then obviously it sort of spiralled off a wee bit, and I feel like the Hibs had scored an early goal, and the singing section kicking off, probably found the atmosphere kicking off well, but I think it's just malaised a wee bit because of the expectation of we're probably not going to score today, okay, and that's probably what's been, I think.
There is a bit of negativity though around. I mean, there's a few guys around me. There's a guy just shouting, just shite, just general shite all the time, like almost mocking Dre Wright for people complaining about Dre Wright having been booed on the other week, almost mocking that he can't take it. For example, and then like Campbell's another one that gets it. Like that. They were talking about them trying to play the passes, and he made that mistake that they got in and goal. And Porteous not covered for him. Porteous and Doyle covered for him, but which is what they're meant to do. But he's taking the ball in a difficult area. Mowbray, when he came in, says they've got to make mistakes. They've got to get the ball away. We're just unforgiving at the moment. We're no fucking don't care. So I think there is a bit of it's going to put you off, innit? It's going to make you maybe hide when you don't realise you're hiding. Subconsciously you're just standing out of shot for the boy that's got to pass the ball to you because you're not really wanting it, because you know that everybody's waiting on you making a mistake.
It's a worry though, right? So see when you have an event like that on Saturday, right? So £5 to get in, and you get a full stadium, and the game's dead flat, and folk go away with not the best feeling. So at best they're apathetic from it. They go away, right? At worst they go away going, fuck it, I'm not going back again, that was shite or whatever. Mm-hmm. The worry is you've got season ticket renewals are coming up for purchase now. You'll have the club want to increase the number of season tickets they've sold to meet their ambitions, but you've got folk going, I'm not sure if I'm going to renew because what I'm watching on the pitch isn't great. And there's that. It's like it almost feels like a wee bit of a critical point for the club at the moment, where unless something changes quick, so there was a third on Hibs night, but is the season a write-off? And you're going, but fucking, and we're in the quarter-final of the cup, we're sitting in fourth. We actually went up a position at the weekend, which is a good thing. If I remember, was the season a write-off because they're just sick at kind of all our best players are missing, so you're not getting to see the best players. We're not playing that great. We're not winning games, and if you lose these folk, then it's very hard to win that back. It's almost like we need a big fucking bombastic end to the season to get folk going, I definitely want to be back here next season. They want to miss it. Mm-hmm. But you didn't see that happening, and you worry for what it's going to look like next season when crowds are already getting lower. If they're lower again, the atmosphere is going to be shiter. There's even less incentive for folk to go back. There needs to be something to happen, though.
There is, and then there's less incentive for Ron Gordon to fucking want the club.
Aye, to put his hand in his pocket for it. So I think they've got their work cut out, and they need to go and like they think this football for a fiver. Go on a big charm offensive. I noticed they've got another season ticket holder event coming up as Easter Road as well. I think the last one was quite good. I watched that on Recast. It is that bit about going on a charm offensive, but ultimately, I think they can it as well. It's not like we're fucking telling them new news here. You need to win games, and you need to can be scoring goals as a minimum.
Or do both, because that's because winning games last season wasn't good enough. Remember, that's why he started dropping.
Mentioning age a lot, the average age of the squad, they're pushing that a lot. Maloney's pushed that a lot, and I just hope he's not starting to use it as an excuse, because he's wanting it to be a young squad. He's wanting it. He kens that's his project, that's his plan, and that. And I just hope it's not like, okay, we've got a young squad, and not an excuse, but it's been brought up a lot recently, but a lot to cover for the negative stuff. No, look, we're a really exciting young team. It's merely I cannot. We're a young team now. Okay, we had to start the team averaging age 22, 23, whatever it was. And I think if you get wins, results, and start moving up the table, cup final, something like that, and then start pushing the exciting narrative young team chat, then you get a lot more bite for that, Totally. But if the season fizzles out, and it's because it's a young team, if you've got to fucking hear about someone is like, we need experienced players then.
Aye, the proven with Shite shouldn't bother with the development team by for the here and now. But
yeah.
Good point. Hey, Colin.
Last topic, because I know we're probably running late. So just a bucket of shite here. I'll class it as, right. So we've got Steve G, no that one. John Fife and Andrew McBee. Just pointing out that Hallberg was playing, just in case we're looking. Some were looking for him, and in case we're looking for a where are now content. We know where he is. I actually thought Campbell done well against him on Saturday, because they seemed to match right up against each other. The sub being subbed at half time. It was, they were putting a bit in about each other. It was like Hallberg was maybe trying to prove a point, but I don't think he did really.
No.
The St Johnstone sub being subbed at half time. Should we all streak next time we score? Barry getting soaked pre-match. That was another talking point.
That was the best bit about it.
That was a funny bit. Yeah. I can't remember which one, but one of them thought O'Halloran was more suited to Love Island than a football pitch. He is spray tan to the max, like. And the guy that's in Tasmania that's messaged in before about the right and the left, I think it is. He was saying it's 2 a.m. kickoff, and Taz, as his wife, asked Hibs to play like that, so that it sends him back to sleep, so he doesn't wake her up when they score. That's a possibility. It's a possibility.
That Whiskey Craig, is that his name?
It must be, but I didn't read his name out there, so I mustn't have written it down.
That's right.
But I did read his name out elsewhere.
You did.
I did it on the creative one, so that's fine. So he's already had a shout out, right? But the one, what about Porteous and the Phantom Throw-in, that was pointed out as well.
That, by the way, see if we'd conceded for that. So he got away with it, and everyone was like, fair enough. He had a really good game, I think, Porteous, especially considering he was keeping Cadden and Doig right all the way through the game. He was talking to him a lot. For Porteous was outstanding. But at that moment, if we conceded, I didn't quite ken. The swear words were already forming in my head that I hadn't said before, ready to fucking voice. Because I saw him you'll have seen the same. We just fucking took off and what the fuck are you doing? It looked ridiculous. It was like, do you remember when Simon Murray scored at Ibrox? And was it Bruno Alves? Is that the defender they had? Was that his name?
Aye.
There's a picture you see from behind the goals, and he just fucking runs away. It's like it's mental when you see you go, the fuck is he going? Like you think the natural thing would be for him to try and get in front of Simon Murray and block the shot. He's just running away. And it would have been one of those ones you just see just running that way, the boys away down there. Where's he gone?
Really bad. I'm sure somebody else would have got the blame if there'd been a goal.
They would have. Unlucky Ryan.
Everybody's just saying how fucking funny it is. No, wasn't it funny on Saturday? Everybody's going, fuck it, you dead.
Funny now though. And it was funny. Like it's like, fucking hell.
Doig that covered and bailed him out.
He did Doig the well in that moment. There's me using my Sean Maloney coaching speak there in that moment. Like it. Like I would just use that for sure.
For sure.
He just seems out of breath all the time when he's talking. I feel. He's like, I used to take big deep breaths and have a think about what he's saying before he talks.
Aye.
I think he's coming across a bit better, actually. And I think he's
so well.
comfortable on the touchline now as well. And I think the Cathro shite seems to have been dropping away a wee bit.
Aye.
But and at least Hibs fans are not repeating it now. Like, it's fucking mental.
Thanks for doing that, Colin. That was I liked the way that went better than going through all the individual talking points. And Leon, thanks for doing the wanger for the bangers as well. That was good for anybody watching it. You'll know what we're talking about. Right, Motherwell on Saturday in the Cup. Very quickly because we're almost out of time. Are we going through? That's the first question. How do you see it going, Colin?
I'm not going through. My daughter's playing Sunday morning, so I should be back.
I meant Hibs gone through everything in the Cup.
Oh no, yes,
so
penalties 0-0, and penalty win again, same as last year.
Aye. Right enough.
Yeah.
What about you, Leon?
Aye, no win on penalties for me, I think.
Aye.
Change the keeper. I wonder if we can bring Macy on in extra time to save the penalties.
I'll take us to win 0-0 as well then. Okay, right. So last things just to wrap up then. If you've lasted this long, well done. We did put out a Heatbangers last night. Had loads of messages about it today. We shout out to Craig and Jack who shared some really powerful accounts of their own experiences last night. I would thoroughly recommend having a wee listen back to that if you haven't already. Also on Thursday we are hitting episode 100 of Short Bangers, and so we're doing it in a little bit of style. We have Gordon Smart coming on. Gordon came on Short Bangers a wee while ago. It was one of the best episodes we've done, I think. So he's joining us again. But we also have, thanks to Headline Events, who you can find on Twitter, 2 VIP tickets to the Meet Steve Archibald event, or an audience with Steve Archibald at Easter Road on the 18th of March. So if you look at our Twitter, you can win a pair of tickets. All you have to do is submit a question. Best question will win it, but you also have to follow us on Twitter and follow Headline Events. So look out for that. It'll be a great night.
Yeah, it's a photo. You get a photo with Archibald. I think you get to meet and greet, as you said, and get an actual professional photo taken as part of that package. So it's a pretty good prize.
And we'll be there calling in. So
so you can get a photo with us. They'll not be very professional, but you can get a photo.
We're up for photos with anybody, like whether you want it or no.
Sign your tits, or sign your tits, whatever.
We'll be jumping in the background of your photos with Archibald. Just photobombing everything. Anyway, follow us on social media. Anyway, if you want to enter the competition, do so, but you do need to follow us, follow Headline Events, and submit a question if you want to have a chance at winning it.
A good question.
A good question, yeah. It's
going to be the best question.
The best question will be the winner.
None of the if you're on top of your mum and your dad's behind you and you have to push forward and pull back and blah 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 blah.
Aye, no, that might win it. We've already had that question, so but it doesn't matter.
It's a question getting asked at the event, aye.
Aye, we'll ask Stevie it.
We might. We'll see if we're allowed. Right, that's us. We're out of time. Right? We've kind of overrun a wee bit as normal. Colin, Leon, thanks very much for your time. Thanks for listening, folks. We'll see you next time. County line, I pledged upon. Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't drink water, no.